You got a big problem here. So, something called the Salt Palace in Utah, some type of convention center, evidently, according to reports from Dave Hodges, not just Dave Hodges, others too, we'll talk about that in a minute. They're saying that the UN has taken over that area that I just showed you. Make sure the volume's up for you. And has quarantined it off as a compound, says that it's no longer part of the United States, but rather it is international something. I forget the phrasing. He'll say it in a minute. And they've staked a claim in your nation while your president, the Mason, is sitting in power in DC, whatever the amount of miles between Utah and Washington, D.C. is. You have not had President Trump amass all of our military that would be appropriate to go over there and tell them you have whatever length of time to get off of our land before we do X, Y, and Z. That's not happening. There's a reason why that's not happening, because to you, the public, Trump says, I'm a Christian, I'm for the little guy, I have my MAGA hat, whatever, make America great again. I have my branding and I've made billions of dollars. There's all sorts of strange, seedy relationships with, quite honestly, mob individuals. When you tie them together with the business relationships that Trump has had, who's an actor, who's a businessman, who owns casinos and much more. Anyhow, so Trump is telling you one thing to the camera, but in all reality, his actions are different and he's allowing for this. You need to consider that. So let's listen to a little bit of what he's saying here.
The Utah Jazz play basketball, and they have all kinds of events going on in there year-round. So they've declared this place also to be a compound. And in previous reports, I've told you in 2012, all the Major League Sports franchises offered up their facilities in case they needed emergency housing for people who were either detained or in a crisis.
Oh.
That's disturbing, isn't it? That's really disturbing. And the UN has publicly set up shop. October 24th was a Honor UN Day in Salt Lake City, declared by the mayor. Over $600,000 of public funds have gone to support this effort. This is treason. People need to get rid of their mayor. They need to get rid of their city council. Anyone who supports this needs to be out of office. Now, here's the update. There is nothing to really report at this time in Utah beyond what I've said. But there are related stories coming out where the same thing is going to be announced at Colorado State University, where Fort Collins is the home city. And you could say CSU, as it's called, is the Ickley Empire's jewel. And that's what they're called by Ickley, which is basically Agenda 21. Austin, Texas, another hub of Agenda 21 movement at the UT campus, University of Texas. They are going to have a similar thing go on with a public facility that's taxpayer supported, and they're going to turn it over to the UN. This is the desensitization to America for the UN exercising control over us. And also, I believe they're going to open up detention facilities, and this is their way of doing it. This is really disturbing, and I understand why you want to know more about this, but the bottom line is, people, is that the information that I gave out in the previous report yesterday contains what you need to know. These are just updated versions of what I'm hearing is coming. Again, please share, Like and subscribe if you haven't done so. We'll see you back here. Thanks for joining us.
If what he's saying is true, you are being hemmed in. You are being set up for a complete and total military overhaul, meaning they are aggressively taking steps against you. Whenever the enemy sets up a, what is it called? I wish my military guys could help me out. Stronghold. When they set up a stronghold, when the bad guys come in and they start claiming land and adding to it, it's because it's going to grow from there. It's going to get worse. It's getting worse. Oops. You are, guys, they're set. They have everything ready to go. Oh my word. Wow, that fries my brain. I mean, what if this is the last year that we're going to be here and Christ is going to be coming the feast? Maybe. I'm saying a what if scenario here. And Christ is planning on coming next Feast of Trumpets, and you now see the UN taking over all of these large, massive arenas. We already know about the Noahide. We've talked about that. We've talked about the global government and its connection in and with and through and by Israel and unbelief. We've talked about the guillotines, or however you want to pronounce that, the head choppers. This is another step forward. Wow. He was talking about this in another video, but I want to go see this because this was one of the other few articles. H Newswire, listen, UN takes over Utah taxpayer funded venue. Claims it's international territory. This was as of the 27th, the article was written. Look, featured story. Okay, it starts out and shuts down journalists. The yoking of the American people is now a reality. The beast is bullying this country's people. The United Nations is testing the waters, and there is very little resistance. Bible prophecy is being fulfilled in real time. Yes, Daniel and John told you this was coming. Be prepared for the Antichrist to come on the scene. I don't plan on being here. I'm in the ark with Christ. I'm out of here when that last trump sounds, and all my people that are born again, we're out of here too. Philadelphia. Don't believe me? Go read the Greek. Revelation 3, 8 through I think it's 14 and verse 10 is a standing promise to the bride of Jesus Christ that you will be taken out of, out not through, out of this time of testing that's coming. And you should be tracking with all of the videos, friends, that I have been doing, tying together the rabbis' words with their Mashiach that they want to have coming, the Pope who has gone with this signing of a document called Nostra Aetate to go underneath Israel. We have demonstrated to you that both the religious, okay, tears, I'm just being silly, but I'm kind of intense and upset right now, the fakes, also the left-leaning liberals. We've been talking about Jonathan Lehman, as well as many other entities who are all, I'm convinced, witchcraft oriented, Masonic, Kabbalistic, satanic, Luciferian, evil people who are getting ready to flip this whole globe into planet rebellion, and thus there will be a Jewish antichrist coming. And I have given you so many, like what, 6, 7, 8 videos now on Kanye. also trying to help people understand that when he says Jesus is king, he ain't talking about the Jesus of the cross. He's talking about this coming Antichrist. Let's keep going with this article, though. In the first United Nations conference outside New York in the United States of America, the UN took over the Salt Palace. It's in Salt Lake City, Utah. They're making it so people can't take pictures or photos or anything. So that's why we're not seeing a lot of that. I wish somehow people could get some of that, but it has been claimed as international territory in our nation. And in the process, they are shutting down a journalist's rights to videos. That's what I've been hearing too. Oh my goodness. Since Sunday evening, we took over this compound. This is international territory. This is an act of treason. President Trump should be thrown in jail. His entire staff and cabinet and everybody in the government should be tossed in jail. And oopsie, they're the ones that control it all. So guess what? They're not going to jail themselves. You have been taken, America. And this is step one. And they've had these FEMA camps. You can thank Dick Cheney for much of that. You can thank that turncoat male. Um, his wife is a male. Barack Obama, Michael Obama. You can thank them for all of the various legal statutes that they've put in place in preparation for this. You can thank it could go on and on and on, but you can thank Bush for signing Noahide law into being, that's sitting there in the back burner and a media blackout up to and including Christians that refuse to tell you the truth. I can think of so many right now. And it's the moms and the dads and the single people that are telling you the truth about Noahide sub-laws. You're being set up for your murders. It's Trump who's ordered these head chopper blades. This is coming. What the Bible said is coming is happening. And you can't even get Christians to realize what's going on, except for a small faction of the remnant. On August 26th, 27th, and 28th of 2019, the United Nations procured the venue of the Salt Palace in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah, for a conference. The Utah State Legislature provided what? $650,000 for the conference? 350,000 more, right? Would make it a cool million. However, a journalist attempted to video the conference to warn you, specifically one of the security personnel who is clearly a foreigner. She was told she didn't have permission to video the woman's face. That Salt Palace was designated international territory. So they're repeating a lot. Woo! Take a look at this report from Defending Utah. In fact, this was referred to not as Salt Palace, but as a compound. The UN says they took over the building. The UN stated the taxpayer-funded Salt Palace was now international territory. The U.S. rights don't apply. The UN stated that the United States was outside the doors of the Salt Palace, and the UN, who at best should have been a guest of Salt Lake, instead acted like an invader and denied a U.S. citizen their First Amendment rights. That is an illusion. They don't go by those anymore. Turn off the camera? Well, what are you going to do about it? According to Defending Utah, during the conference pushing the UN's anti-family, anti-property, anti-rights, anti-American Agenda 2030, journalists covering the event were confronted by UN officers.
Is it okay you turn off the camera and then speak?
Oh, turn off the camera?
Yeah.
Do I not have a right to have the camera?
I'm not giving you permission to check my face, so...
Okay, are you a public servant?
I'm a United Nations security officer.
Okay.
Okay.
This is my city, and so I have a right to film.
This is United Nations compound?
A United Nations compound?
Yes.
This is a compound?
Yeah. Since Sunday evening, we took over this compound. This is international territory. When you step outside, it's U.S. Here is international territory. This is UN compound.
The United Nations claims to be the champion of your human rights. Here, they are boasting about how they love the freedom of the press.
Oh.
But notice that in the UN Declaration of Human Rights, they claim the power to deny you any of your rights at their discretion if it doesn't fit their agenda.
Satan.
There were thousands of cameras filming the United Nations that day. Activists, journalists, and citizens.
Oh.
But as soon as their security saw that one activist was speaking against the UN's agenda, she was targeted, just like the UN's Declaration on Human Rights says that they have a loophole for. Let's